You know how sometimes you wish you could just skip a week? Well, imagine if it actually happened. Because back in 1582, it did. A whole 10 days. Just gone. Wiped from the calendar. So today, we're going to get into this bizarre, totally true story of the 10 days that just vanished. All right, let's just jump right in because this is honestly one of the weirdest things you'll hear about from history. And I'm not talking about some metaphor, right, or like a lost document. No. This was a conscious, calculated move to just delete 10 days from existence. Poof. Gone forever. Okay, so look at this. This is just wild. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. You go to sleep, it's Thursday, October 4th. You wake up the next morning, and it's Friday, October 15th. What happened to the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, all the way to the 14th? They just never happened. For that year, those days are just a blank space in history. Totally gone. So the big question is, right? Where did the time go? I mean, was it some bizarre glitch in the Matrix? A historical typo? It really feels like a mystery, but the answer is actually incredibly logical and, very, very human. Okay, so the secret to these missing days, it's not some supernatural event. It's math. Yep, good old-fashioned math. The problem was kind of hiding in plain sight, in the one thing everybody relied on, their calendar. It was like this tiny, tiny little bug in the software of time. So let's meet our culprit. It's called the Julian calendar. Yeah, as in Julius Caesar. This thing was the gold standard for more than 1,500 years. And for the most part, it worked great. But it had this one teensy-weensy little flaw. See, its calculation for leap years was off by just a few minutes every single year. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? Well, that's the thing with tiny mistakes, isn't it? If it's just a year or two, you'd never notice. But when you let that little error run for 1,500 years, whoa, those minutes start to add up. They pile on top of each other year after year until suddenly you're looking at a huge, huge problem. And this is what happened. The calendar, our man-made map of the year, it got completely out of sync with the actual solar year, the one that the planet follows. So things like the first day of spring, which was super important for figuring out when Easter was, started showing up earlier and earlier on the calendar. The seasons were literally drifting away from the dates we assigned them. It was a mess. So clearly, something had to change. And the guy who stepped up to fix it was Pope Gregory XIII. He looked at this and said, okay, this isn't just a minor headache for astronomers. This is a fundamental problem with how we understand time. And he knew it was going to take a really bold move to fix it. And his solution was actually pretty brilliant. It was a two-step plan. Step one, the really drastic part. Just slice 10 days right out of the calendar. A one-time reset to get everything back in sync with the sun. Then, step two was all about the future. He brought in a new, more accurate leap year rule to make sure this kind of crazy drift could never, ever happen again. So, okay, problem solved, right? The math is good, the calendar's fixed, everyone's happy. Not so fast. This is where the story takes a wild turn. Because you have to wonder, how did the regular people on the street react to this? Well, to put it mildly, they completely freaked out. Yeah, people were not grateful for this fix. It was total chaos. I mean, think about it. Landlords were trying to charge a full month's rent for what was now a 21-day month. People were just confused and really, really scared. And in some places, that fear turned into full-blown riots in the streets. And this was the chant you'd hear in the streets. Give us back our 10 days, or they have stolen 10 days of our lives. It's just so raw and personal, isn't it? For them, this wasn't about some high-minded astronomy. It felt like someone had literally reached into their lives and stolen something precious from them, their own time. And that's the key thing to understand. This wasn't just some abstract idea to them. People genuinely, truly believed that this decree was making their lives literally 10 days shorter. They felt like they were being cheated out of a piece of their one and only life. Of course they were angry. They were terrified. So, okay. That's a wild story from over 400 years ago. But why are we talking about it now? Why does it matter? Well, because the result of all that chaos, all that protest, is something you use every single day of your life. This is the punchline. That
big, messy papal fix, it created the Gregorian calendar. That's the calendar on your phone, the one on your computer, the one hanging on your wall. All that chaos and fear eventually settled down, and what we are left with was a way more accurate, stable calendar that, well, basically the whole world ended up adopting. So in the end, those 10 days weren't really lost. You could say they were traded in for accuracy. And it leaves you with a really interesting thought, doesn't it? We think of time as this constant, unchangeable force of nature. But this whole story just goes to show you that the way we measure it, the way we box it up into days and weeks, that's all a human invention. It's a system we made up. And if we made it, we can change it. So what does that really tell us about our relationship with time?